amazing, beautiful people, and welcome back to another anime reaction video. So, I asked you guys for some recommendations. I've been reading the comments. I've been seeing what you guys recommended, and boop, this is one that's been recommended quite a lot. It's from an Ari Kendo video, which we love this guy. He's amazing. Shout out Ari Kendo, link to his channel in the description. And it is every anime, Big Three explained in 19 minutes. I'm gonna be real. I kind of assumed that there was 3 Big Threes. So the fact that there's more than 3 Big Threes, I don't really understand. So I'm curious to see what this video actually is, because it doesn't make any sense. So let's see, shall we? Press the like button, press the subscribe button, and let's jump into my first time of reaction to every anime Big Three explained in 19 minutes.
Given this name because at their peak, these 3 shonen series were the most popular and most watched anime. But what about the other demographics, shoujo or seinen? What would the new big 3 of shonen be in the 2020s? But first, let's talk about the OG big 3. Naruto was originally published in Shonen Jump in 1999 and edited in 2014. The original anime series ran from 2002 to 2007, while Naruto Shippuden ran from 2007 to 2017. It follows the ninja...
Wait. Naruto came out in 1999 and only 3 years later they started the anime? Huh.
Naruto was the nine-tailed fox sealed inside of him as he teams up with his ninja teammates Sasuke and Sakura to complete missions under the guidance of Kakashi-sensei. And honestly, the original show still holds up to this day because of Studio Pierrot's great animation. To this day, Naruto is one of the best-selling manga and most popular anime series of all time, having sold 250 million manga copies worldwide and is apparently the most googled anime according to Google search trends. But is Naruto the best out of the big 3? Because
he said One Piece
the
wins.
most googled
One Piece wins today. Was most Googled in 2023. Ah, I see. Okay.
Anime according to Google search trends. But is Naruto the best out of the big 3 because of that? One Piece was first published in Shonen Jump in 1997 and is still currently getting new chapters most weeks. Not to mention, it is the single best-selling manga of all time with over 500 million copies in circulation.
Bro!
It's only 100 million away from hitting Superman levels and hitting Harry Potter levels, so it is truly on a league of its own. While the anime first aired in 1999 and just had its first 6-month break.
I knew One Piece was big. I did not know One Piece was that. Like, One Piece is Superman big? Harry Potter big? Goosebumps on that list as well. Holy shit, One Piece. Calm down.
25 years of airing weekly. Yeah, that's fucking insane. And while most media franchises would
25 years of airing weekly, they took a 6-month break. 25, Jesus!
Under the weight of that much content, One Piece is still hitting new levels of popularity that it hasn't seen before, especially with the latest live-action adaptation that became the #1 ranked
I'm gonna be real, this drawing was scary at the beginning.
TV show on Netflix in 84 countries during its first weekend. If you don't know, One Piece is about Monkey D. Luffy and his goal to find the One Piece and become king of the pirates. Along the way, he gets a crew of other fun characters while they traverse the seas. And out of the big 3, it's probably the most relevant one in terms of how many people are still watching it on a weekly basis. Anything
I can't wait to
gotten
watch
more
One Piece.
popular since the 2000s when people consider to be part of the big 3. It's also personally my favorite of the big 3, but I am biased because it's also the one I've gotten the farthest in. I would recommend reading the manga if you want to start it, although I've heard the pacing issues in the anime do get fixed post time skip, and the animation does definitely slap at times. Bleach was published in Shonen Jump in 2001 and edited in 2016, while its anime adaptation went from 2004 to 2012. Bleach was always the edgier of the 3, but it was also the least...
I have to say, both One Piece and Naruto get like a lot of praise sung about them. Bleach is more the quiet one, at least in my community here on YouTube. I don't really hear much about Bleach, if I'm being honest, and I do really want to watch it.
Popular of them. Although the new 1000 Year Blood War has definitely brought back a lot of older Bleach fans, and they kind of have it talking about the show like it never ended. Especially since Pierrot decided to go ham on the animation with some absolutely beautiful cuts. The story follows Ichigo as he becomes a Soul Reaper, or Shinigami, someone who can navigate the souls of the dead from the world of the living to the Soul Society. I will say that Bleach probably has the coolest power system out of the big 3, with multiple different races of people and types of hollows, all of which have various abilities and powers. But let's be honest, the only reason we're watching Bleach is for audio.
What the hell am I looking at there? There ain't no way that's from Bleach. That background ain't from Bleach. My God.
Man, Yoruichi, you know what I'm saying. If you want to get into Bleach today, I would definitely recommend reading the manga. The pacing is a lot better, and there's actually more gore with Kubo's intricate drawings, which are pretty fantastic. Plus, I love seeing these stylish covers sometimes. And while Bleach definitely has fallen in popularity, that doesn't mean that it's a bad show by any means. It's still pretty good. Now we get to the new kids on the block. Demon Slayer was published in Shonen Jump from 2016 to 2020, selling over 150 million copies worldwide, although much of this can be attributed to the absolutely stunning anime adaptation by Ufotable. This anime is genuinely unlike anything I've ever seen before. I mean, I had friends who have never watched anime coming up to me to talk about it. That's kind of unheard of. I don't think y'all understand. You know, Demon Slayer is the second largest grossing anime franchise behind only Dragon Ball. The plot of Demon Slayer follows Tanjiro and his sister Nezuko.
I love it. It's like number one's actually One Piece now, lol. I have to say, I will praise Demon Slayer forever. I think it is incredible anime.
Who gets turned into a demon. It follows him as he and his sister train with his friends the demon who originally turned his sister into a demon. While the plot and characters of Demon Slayer never really stood out to me that much, the action and animation is something entirely different. Ufotable perfectly utilizes their style of blending both 2D and CGI animation to make some absolutely beautiful fight scenes that have broken the internet on multiple occasions. Personally, it's not my favorite of the three, and honestly, I do think it has the weakest art in the manga out of all of these, but I can't lie, I will keep watching new seasons of Demon Slayer just to see the action. Jujutsu Kaisen was published in Shonen Jump from 2018 and recently ended in 2024. The anime also boosted sales to over 100 million copies sold, and this is
I have to say, Jujutsu Kaisen really is just fucking amazing. Like, it's one of those series that, like, quietens down super quickly. Like, when it comes back, it just, whoa! And then it goes, ugh. It's a real, like, peak and drop one. It has no real, like, staying power, but whenever it comes back, it does take
Another anime that I've seen my normie friends mention. Wait, is anime mainstream now? If you don't know, Jujutsu Kaisen follows Yuji, who accidentally swallows the cursed finger of Sukuna, one of the most powerful cursed sorcerers in history.
Sukuna.
Tastes like pickled human. It's revealed that the Jujutsu Society wants to completely exorcise Sukuna, and so begins Yuji's journey of eating all of Sukuna's fingers. Personally, I think that Jujutsu Kaisen is probably the most interesting of the new gen Big 3 shonen, especially concerning its plot and characters, but even more so when it comes to its power system. Clearly, the mangaka Gigi took a lot of inspiration from Hunter x Hunter with Nen. Cursed Energy, the power system in JJK, is just as versatile and fun to watch, and combined with domain expansions, oh my god, it's a blast.
It's funny, I never... Oh, that scene with Sukuna in the freaking... like, in the mind is great. I never really drew the conclusions between Hunter x Hunter and Jujutsu Kaisen in the power system. Definitely see some similarities, but I never really thought that the Nen system was that, like, referenced, like, closely.
Plus, it feels like the plot moves at a breakneck pace, never giving you time to breathe as new plot points hit you left and right. All of this leads to a super addicting watching experience, and Nappa's stellar anime adaptation does not skimp out on the back-to-back fights, especially in the second season. In my opinion, I think JJK has the most potential out of all the new gen shonen I've listed here. My Hero Academia was published in Shonen Jump from 2014 to 2024, while the anime adaptation first aired in 2016 with some absolutely insane animation from Studio Bones, featuring the GOAT himself, Yutaka Nakamura. It's also one of the few manga series to reach 100 million copies in circulation and is a global success, with the anime actually coming to an end soon. I think the last season is coming out this year in October, actually. I remember a time when MHA was the poster child of new gen shonen.
So I'm going to be starting My Hero Academia when it's wrapped up and finished. That's kind of cool. I like that.
The fights were absolutely amazing, the soundtrack got your heart beating, and the animation from Bones just blew everything else out of the water. MHA was on a surefire path to becoming the next biggest shonen anime, but some of the arcs really dragged down the pacing and ultimately got me and many others bored of the show. But I only say that because I think I'm spoiled by new gen shonen. All in all, I would still recommend the anime to new fans. It's a really fun ride, and people tell me that the recent seasons are really good too. Now look, this grouping is technically subjective, because at the end of the day, there will never be another big 3 of anime that reach the same grip that Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach had on the anime community back then. This is just a speculative video. And speaking of speculation, I actually think that Chainsaw Man could take MHA's spot in the big 3. Demon Slayer, JJK, and Chainsaw Man have all started their animes in the 2020s, which already kind of groups them. They all have devils, demons, or cursed spirits, which are kind of similar in concept. And in fact, just a few seasons ago, people were calling Hell's Paradise, Chainsaw Man, and JJK the Dark Trio of Shonen Jump.
They absolutely were, hence why we watched all 3 of them for our first ever Friday slots. And by the way, Hell's Paradise gets way more shit than it deserves. It is a very good story.
Although, personally, I don't know if Hell's Paradise is popular enough to fill the shoes of MHA. That's why I think Chainsaw Man is ripe to take that spot.
Chainsaw Man is
The only problem is that the anime is too new. But once the movie comes out, I have a feeling a lot more people are going to agree with me because, god damn, it looks fire. Anyway, you could also include shows like
Wait, this video must be quite new then, if he's making references to the movie and showcasing things in the trailer 4 months ago. Ah, quite a new video then. Ah, I like it.
Over Fire Force or Hell's Paradise on here, but to me, they just don't have the same cultural impact as the ones I put. Anyway, next is seinen, which is a demographic that's targeted towards older men. This is probably the only big three where it's not really an anime big three, but a manga big three. And while I normally would try and keep the list free from that because on this channel, I mainly talk about anime, I do genuinely believe that these three deserve to be here. The first of which is Vinland Saga, which was originally published as a shonen called the Weekly Shonen Magazine, but was literally moved to a seinen publication called Monthly Afternoon. It started in 2005 and the manga is still ongoing. Vinland Saga is probably the only...
How, if it started in 2005 but it's still ongoing, there must be so much Vinland Saga content then to consume. Interesting.
The one out of these three where I can confidently say,
watch
the anime. Mappa did an amazing job with it, and as a side note, both the openings are bangers, and I always play them if I need to hit a PR at the gym.
Yeah.
The series,
we have to be honest, the openings, so good.
Follows Thorfinn, a young boy who finds himself stranded with a group of Vikings.
Honestly, everybody should just watch this anime. It's fucking incredible.
But also learns other lessons.
And it has some of the best character development
is interesting because of its historical accuracy. So do not look up the actual Thorfinn because you will get spoiled. But beyond that, the themes of peace and anti-slavery sentiment are really, really amazing once you sink your teeth into the second season of the anime. While it can be slow at times, the amazing character writing just makes up for it. Unfortunately, it's not as popular as its other seinen counterparts, only selling around 7 million copies worldwide. However,
that still seems like a very big number, has to be said. I agree. I think everybody should watch Vinland Saga. Now, granted, it is gory and it is dark. It's not going to be for everyone's liking, but it is, in my opinion, the best character development I've seen in an anime.
The anime adaptation is very popular and a great starting point for people to get a better feel of seinen anime, but I would not recommend you watch this next one. Berserk was originally published in Monthly Animal House in 1988, but then got moved to Young Animal in 1992.
What the hell is his arm?
The story remains unfinished despite the fact that the late Kentaro Miura worked on it for over 30 years. Since he passed in 2021, his lifelong friend and mangaka Koji Mori is continuing the series with a group of his assistants and apprentices from Studio Gaga. It has sold over 60 million copies worldwide and influenced major media franchises like Dark Souls and...
Pretty much everybody has said that if I was going to read a manga, this is the one I start with. Everyone. Which is crazy because I've heard it's well messed up.
Has had a few controversial anime adaptations. If you want to watch the anime and you just cannot read manga, I would probably recommend the 1997 version and maybe the 2012 and 2013 Golden Age movies if you enjoy CGI. However, under any circumstances, do not watch the 2016 version of Berserk. It is absolutely horrendous for many reasons that I'm not going to go over. The story of Berserk follows Guts, a mercenary who follows the Band of the Hawk with Griffith, a charismatic leader that is gaining prominence in Midland. Through multiple military campaigns, Guts gets stronger and forges new bonds while learning deep and dark secrets about the world he inhabits. I can safely say that Berserk is my absolute favorite manga of all time, having read it over 10 times at this point. I would even go so far to say that it is the greatest manga ever written. Not only is
literally everyone I talk to who's read it says this, and I find it so interesting because it's supposed to be well fucked up, right? But everyone I talk to who has read Berserk says it is the best manga they've ever read, and there's not even a close second. Like, they are like on the Berserk train. People talk about Berserk the way I fucking talk about Red Rising. Like, every single... I might have to buy it, man. I might actually have to. This might be the first manga I read. Some people said do a manga read-along stream. They never do that well. People don't really care. This might actually be the...
Heroes are genuinely breathtaking. The deep contrast between his insanely violent but quiet, solemn panels pave the path for a great road that Guts embarks on. Although you might be hesitant to start Berserk due to the fact that it doesn't have an ending, it is actually shorter than many other manga. It only has 364 chapters compared to One Piece's 1149. But what Berserk doesn't have in quantity, it makes up in pure quality. There is a lot of nudity, gore, sexual violence, torture, and just a number of things that if you were...
I'm sold! Why didn't you say that before?
Not comfortable with, can be triggering. It's not for everyone, but for those that are interested in the deepest depths of dark fantasy, it's a journey you need to embark on. Speaking of journeys, Vagabond was originally published in the seinen magazine
I've never heard of
Vagabond. Manga by legend Takehiko Inoue in 1998 to 2015. Since then, it's been on indefinite hiatus, and we don't really know if it's going to return. But if you don't know, the mangaka Inoue is one of the manga GOATs, revolutionizing sports manga with his series Slam Dunk. And Vagabond is also insanely popular, selling over 82 million copies worldwide. And Vagabond is actually the only manga in this category to not have an anime, although the studio behind Arcane, Fortiche, said that they expressed interest in animating Vagabond, which would be pretty interesting to see. The story follows Takezo and his journey from a teenage soldier in the feudal era to one who swears to earn the title of Invincible under the heavens. It's heavily inspired by the Japanese classic and the real story of the legendary swordsman Miyamoto Musashi. Ultimately, it's a story about choosing a certain path in.
Is he the guy that we watched a history video on like previously? I can't remember.
Life, and covers many different philosophical topics throughout this chapter, so I definitely recommend you try it. I haven't actually finished Vagabond yet, but I am really enjoying it. I got the omnibus volumes and they've been really fun to read before bed. Definitely recommend you check them out. That's the big three of seinen. This is kind of the community consensus as of now, mainly because they all have similar themes of, self-discovery, personal growth, and I kind of personally love that. I feel like they fit together very well. But to be honest, a little part of me is very sad that I wasn't able to include Kingdom, one of my absolute favorite mangas of all time. It's an extremely well-selling manga with over 100 million copies sold. It also has an okay anime adaptation that does get better as it goes on, but there's a certain
I have heard only good things from the Kingdom fan base. Pretty much everybody who is into Kingdom tells me that I should watch it. I've heard it's very
camaraderie that Vinland Saga, Berserk, and Vagabond kind of share that Kingdom doesn't really fit into. Oh, and of course, shout out to other amazing seinen series like Monster and 20th Century Boys. Those are also amazing too. And now we arrive at
Monster
the shoujo big three, which is probably going to be my most controversial group.
I've said this forever. Monster is an anime that should be like anime homework. If you watch anime, this should literally be a requirement you've seen
on this list. Please take this time to send as many death threats as you want in the comment section.
Okay, well, I was going to do that after the video, but I can do it now if you want.
Okay, but for real, this was purely a vibes-based grouping, okay? Because I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest shoujo fan. In addition, shoujo is extremely diverse. Just like how shonen has everything from Death Note to Attack on Titan, shoujo is pretty varied when it comes to the different anime and mangas it has. Starting with Sailor Moon, which was published by the legendary mangaka Naoko Takeuchi in Nakayoshi from 1991 to 1997. While Sailor Moon didn't invent magical girls at all, it definitely did a lot to reinvigorate the genre and have some of its own tropes. In addition, it introduced shoujo to a generation of young boys and girls across the world, myself included. Back when I watched it, I didn't realize Pokemon was an anime, and I also remember watching a few episodes of Sailor Moon on reruns.
It's funny, Pokemon used to be on the TV here in the UK as well, along with Digimon and Yu-Gi-Oh and stuff like that. And I never knew they were anime until I was an adult. I Pokemon used to be on the TV. I never was really into Pokemon. I never watched it, but I went and saw the movies in the cinema. The same with Digimon. Yu-Gi-Oh I watched a little bit, but I had no idea they were anime.
A cultural phenomenon. The manga has also sold over 46 million copies worldwide, and the plot follows a schoolgirl named Usagi. And one day, a talking cat named Luna explains that she is a reincarnation of a princess from the Moon Kingdom. With the power she has, she can transform into Sailor Moon through the ever-iconic transformation sequence and ends up saving the Earth and Moon multiple times. While I watched a few episodes, I never fully got invested into Sailor Moon like many others did. When Toei Animation made it back in 1992, it became a staple of anime culture, even up to this day. Next, we have Ouran High School Host Club, which was originally published in Lala magazine from 2002 to 2010, and was written by Bisco Hattori. It had great success, selling over 13 million copies worldwide, but I believe the anime adaptation is really what elevated that level. If you didn't know, Studio Bones, the same one that made MHA, actually animated Ouran. The plot revolves around Haruhi, a bright young schoolgirl who transfers to an extremely rich and posh school on a scholarship. One day, she accidentally breaks a vase for the host club and is now indebted to them. Then she has to cross-dress as a guy to basically play a host for the girls and pay back for the expensive vase through her rich clients buying her thing. Okay, but for real, we're getting to my own personal picks at this point. By all metrics, Ouran High School Host Club doesn't necessarily deserve to be here. Boys Over Flowers has outsold the manga many times over. Nana had a bigger cultural impact in general.
Nana is another one that gets recommended quite a bit. I've heard very good things about Nana. I actually always hear good things about Nana, and the music from it is amazing.
But at the end of the day, Ouran is my favorite JoJo anime, period. The multi-layered comedy that comes from being a parody of yaoi manga,
you gotta love the bias
and the dynamics of the rich versus poor with Haruhi and the rest of the
students
all say we're not at the school is just fun. Plus, the show is pretty open with its views on gender identity, although the anime can use some pretty dated language. Ultimately, I still think it holds up. There's a lot of nostalgia I have, but I really love the anime. Also, I do feel like a surprising amount of people know about Ouran when you mention it to people. Like,
yeah, even I've
really
heard
published
of it.
by Natsuki Takaya from 1998 to 2006 and sold over 30 million copies worldwide. The original Studio Dean anime.
This gets recommended all the fucking
recently
time.
There was a remake by TMS, which was pretty good. It follows a schoolgirl named Toru who is living in a tent, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But basically, she ends up meeting the Soma family and accidentally falls on Kyo, who turns into a cat. Turns out the 12 members of the Soma family are cursed to turn into animals under stress, embarrassment, or other number of shenanigans. And this begins Toru's journey.
Fruits Basket gets recommended so much. All the time.
To remove the curse on the Soma family. Well, the anime recently had a reboot by TMS, and that's definitely worth watching. I actually like the Fruits Basket manga a lot better. The artwork is great, and the way the character expressions are drawn just add a lot of flavor, and I don't know, there's a lot of nostalgia in that art style. Definitely check that one out. And so this is the big three of shoujo in my eyes. Yes, I did want to include Nana, Kimi ni Todoke, and even The Rose of Versailles if I could, but this just felt right.
We checked out
I haven't
video
ever read
breaking that
or
one down.
watched Boys Over Flowers, Skip Beat, or Card Captor Sakura, I'm sure those are pretty good too. Originally, I was actually going to group Nana, Ouran, and Fruits Basket because they all kind of aired in 2000s, similar to the OG Big Three, but I don't know, something about not having Sailor Moon there just felt wrong. Now we move on to our last Big Three, which is Josei, a demographic targeted towards older women, and unfortunately, the demographic that gets even less attention than shoujo from the mainstream anime audience. But don't worry, I'm here to put you on. Paradise Kiss was first published in the fashion josei anime Zipper by Aizawa from 1999 to 2003 and had a great anime adaptation by Madhouse in 2005. It sold over 6 million copies worldwide, and the story follows Yukari, a high school girl who doesn't know what she wants to do but joins a group called Paradise Kiss as a model. It follows her romance with the leader of the group, George, and her modeling career from then on. It
has a weirdly dark feel to it. Have I checked out something to do with Paradise Kiss? Why does this one sound familiar?
Very high fashion show, and this was actually one of the first josei anime I had ever watched.
It looks kind of dark.
I really enjoyed it. It gives a certain La La Land kind of vibe.
Oh, maybe
it's a very grounded, mature look at the industry of fashion and modeling, and I think it's portrayed very well. I think you'll.
So it's like the serious version of My Dress Up Doll.
Enjoy the anime if you enjoy La La Land, honestly. The pacing, unfortunately, isn't the best. Never seen La La Land. They do cram the entire series into 12 episodes, but it's still pretty enjoyable. Then we have Nodame Cantabile, which was published in Kiss from 2001 to 2009 and written by Tomoko Ninomiya. It's a super popular manga series with over 39 million manga copies sold worldwide, and the story follows Chiaki, a top student at a college for music who wishes to become a conductor. He meets Noda, a piano student at the same university who's just a little weird. She's very talented, but prefers to play by ear rather than according to her musical score. The story follows them throughout university into their professional music career and their love story as it progresses. In addition, there's an anime adaptation by JC Staff that is pretty good. Also, one of the characters in the manga is based on a real conductor by the name of James DePriest, and for the anime, they actually got him to conduct the soundtrack. How cool is that?
Well cool.
Last, but definitely not.
That is actually amazing. Imagine writing a manga that has a character who's based on a real life person, and then when it gets adapted into an anime, you're able to get that person. That's so awesome.
At least we have Chihayafuru, which was published in Be Love from 2007 to 2022 and written by Yuki Tsutsugu. It is an extremely popular manga, selling over 29 million copies worldwide, and has a long anime adaptation that aired from 2011 and is still getting new seasons to this day. It follows Chihaya as she plays the traditional Japanese card game Karuta, which I tried to look up to understand, but wound up even more confused instead. If you couldn't tell, I've never actually watched it myself, but I've heard so much good about it, and it is such a popular anime and series that I have to.
Why have I never heard of this?
It kind of reinvigorated the sport of Karuta in Japan.
I've never heard of this.
Kind of insane. Since the anime was animated by Madhouse, I can only assume that the quality is pretty good, and the story seems to be very popular, so I think it's definitely worth checking out. Oh, that's the big three of josei. I definitely wanted to include Princess Jellyfish since it's one of my favorite josei anime. Usagi Drop is also pretty good, but I've heard the manga tanks a bit compared to the anime. Never watched it myself. But all in all, do you agree with my groupings of all the big threes? Should I make a different big three for different genres like isekai and sports or something? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate if you subscribed. But other than that, peace.
Shout out Arikendo, link to their channel is of course in the freaking description. I'm actually super curious to see what the comments are saying about all of this, you know? Is there a war going on? Let's have a look. Kind of crazy that Nana was published in Shoujo magazine. It definitely feels more like a josei in terms of content. I can see every anime reaction channel reacting to this. Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa. What's up? Wait, who did someone reply to that? What did they say? Especially Nicholas Light. Did Nicholas Lau already react to this? Probably, man. Probably. That guy probably jumped on this straight away. Big Free collectibles. Pokemon, Beyblade, Yu-Gi-Oh! I actually had a Beyblade. I had like, so I've told this story before. I didn't really have much money growing up. So I never once had a Beyblade like purchased for me. So I had to basically get from my friends, I borrowed parts of Beyblade. So like some of my friends are like, oh, I got spare bottom, I got spare bit. And I'd build my own like weird ass looking Beyblades. And that was the only way I could have Beyblades. And then I think I managed to somehow get hold of a arena. And I used to play Beyblade all the time. It was really cool. I had like a giant long pole because it was the only one I could find as well. But yeah, I used to love Beyblade. It was well fun. I didn't even know it had an anime. I just thought it was like a fun game. One important reason why Naruto and One Piece and Bleach are called the Big Three is because those three anime, Shonen Jump, saved it from bankruptcy. Though I don't like DB. What's DB? Don't know what that is. Demon Blade. Shonen Jump went for a decline after Dragon. Oh, Dragon Ball. Okay, I see. Definitely think that you should do another video proposing Big Three equivalents of various genres and subgenres. For speculation, you could also throw your predictions for which ones you think. Ah, okay. I think a Seikai would have been kind of interesting. One Piece has that many episodes because 10 minutes of every episode is an intro. I've actually heard this recently. Apparently, One Piece loves the giant long intros. Apparently, that's quite a big deal. Which will be interesting when it finally comes to watching it, whether or not we're going to be skipping these intros, how they work, what they are, but I'm curious about that as well. But we will absolutely be probably watching, obviously there'll be a vote, but I think One Piece is going to take it quite easily, but we should be watching One Piece after we finish Naruto, and we're quite far into Naruto Shippuden now. We're currently on the war arc. I don't know, for you guys watching, you might know how far that is. But there you go. Anyway, I guess that's where my reaction ends. I'm curious to read the comments on my video as well and see what all of your opinions are on this one. If you were going to create another genre of the Big Three in a different genre or category, what would you guys put in here? What do you think are some influential anime that should have been on this list? And what are some anime you'd love to see me watch? Put your recommendations down below. Would I enjoy any that were on this list that I didn't hear of? Let me know as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. And as always, my friends, you will see me in the next video.